Hey, welcome to the Contractor Profit episode 2. Today we're going to be looking at a startup handyman business in rural southeast Missouri. We're going to analyze the business structure and then I'm going to make recommendations to improve the business to earn at least $260,000 a year at a 10% net profit. That's a very specific number. There's 260 working days in the year, and this young man should be making about $1,000 in revenue per day. Okay, so let's pull up our subject. And looking here, so again, we got a handyman model in rural southeast Missouri. He started 2 years ago. This guy is a genius craftsman. When you look at his work, it's gorgeous. If he was in Durham, where my company is, I'd hire him in a heartbeat. The issue is in 2 years, he's not been profitable. He's been barely getting by. I mean, living paycheck to paycheck, job to job, hand to mouth. So he doesn't have any budget for growth. So all our recommendations have to be cost free so that he can leverage time to make money and then later leverage money to get time. Cool? So let's start by analyzing his business so that we can get an apples to apples comparison, looking at his sales, his marketing, his operations, his finance, and his recruiting. So first off, sales. So, excuse me. His offer. Right now, he is competing on price and price alone. That is a huge red flag. His estimating, he's kind of swagging it. He's kind of guessing it. He doesn't understand. He doesn't know his production rates for the tasks he's working on. That's also a red flag. His sales process, because he's not educating the customer on his value, which is being fast and hassle-free. Those are the only ways you can command a premium as a handyman. Because of that, he's forced to compete on price, and that shows in his markup. His average markup right now is 1.2x, which credit to him in keeping the business going and making a living on 1.2x. But we didn't go into business for ourselves to make a living. We went into business for ourselves to achieve freedom. So we got to jack that up. So let's look at his marketing, guys. His marketing is entirely word of mouth based off of his own internal circle in his small rural town outside Poplar Bluff, Missouri. It's a small market, which also explains why he can't get a high enough of a markup, because your ability to get markup, you'll find, is directly correlated to how big your market is. He's not doing any deliberate networking, which is why he has a small referral circle. Paid ads, SEO, that sort of stuff. No point in doing that right now, guys. In fact, I don't recommend doing this until he's ready to start taking on full high-end kitchens. And guys, the reason why you should listen to me, if you don't know me already, my name's Lane Boland. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of CQC Home. We're a $14 million remodeler out of Durham, North Carolina. My big claim to fame is 6 months ago, I took CQC from losing 2% on 8 million to making 12% on 14 million, and solving all the problems in between in just 6 months. Okay, so operations. He doesn't have any formal contracts, and that's okay right now when he's working with family and friends. But outside that, oh my gosh, huge red flag. It's just a matter of time before he gets bit, which is also feeding into the change order process, which is another reason why he hasn't been profitable. Is because he doesn't have formal contracts. That doesn't set the stage for clean change orders. And also it will really expand his referrals if we can nail down a simple, effective client communication process, which is going to boost his client experience, which is going to boost both his reviews online and his word of mouth referrals. Let's talk finance. This is a near and dear subject to me. He's doing his own bills and his own paycheck by himself. That's totally cool at this level. But he doesn't really have an accounting system which and I'm a big fan of profit first. We'll get into that in a second. His job, he's not doing any job costing. What I mean by that is at the end of the job, he's not reviewing what his materials cost versus what he estimated, and what his time on the job was versus what he estimated. And if we're not job costing, then our estimates are never going to get better. And so we have to discipline ourselves to do that. As far as recruiting concerned, yeah, he's not doing any. But the thing is, if he wants to make the jump from being a self-employed craftsman to being a business owner, we got to start reaching out to other trades for stuff that we're not good at, so that we have that bench ready to go when we take on more complex projects, which means more profit. So enough of talking about problems. Let's put a solution together to target 260K a year at a 10% net profit, which should earn him about 140 grand a year take home. And I'll explain how in just a second. So guys, solutions. There's a lot of solutions here. Let's start with what's priority. Priority number one is to use clear estimates. It's a I think $30, whatever it is. Even if it was $100 a month, it's worth it. And if you can't fit that in your budget, then just by trade, by task. Google the name of that task and HomeWise, and click on the link, enter in how big the task is in terms of its takeoff, and HomeWise or Clear Estimates is going to spit back to you the time and the materials for that task. And so at least now you have a formal benchmark to begin improving your estimating process, and you can be confident in your numbers, okay? That's priority number one. Priority number two is to use the cost of project execution proposal, the COPE proposal. If you don't know what that is, subscribe to this channel. In my previous video, we talk about this proposal in detail, which is a three-part proposal. You got labor, where you give them one price. You list all the scope and you give them one price. You have materials, and you break that out, by line item, and you show them the price at cost, no markup here. And the way you recapture that lost markup is in section 3, cost of project execution. And here you list your project management time, you list your logistics time, you list your waste disposal, your permitting, all those ancillary costs for the job that conveniently equal what you would have marked up the materials. Except now the customer can't negotiate with you because those things have to be done, and he thinks he's getting over on you because you're not marking up materials like every other handyman. So you look like the good guy, but you're still getting the same price. It's just framed differently. That's the power of having an on-point offer, guys. So priority number 3, like tattoo this backwards in reverse across your head. 1.67 times labor plus materials. So whatever the time he thinks he's going to spend on the job, times his hourly rate or his day rate, plus materials, 1.67. That's our target price for the all-in contract, okay? Now let's get down to building out his network. Priority number 4, real estate investor groups, guys. So I want him to go into every single real estate investor group within a 2 hours drive, because he's not in a big town. And I want him to join that and start answering investor questions and start friending these investors and reaching out one-on-one to offer his services. These investors are starving for a reliable professional handyman. And why investors instead of homeowners? And the reason is simple. Yes, investors are probably going to pay less than a homeowner. But the thing is, he has absolutely no overhead, so he's going to be okay there. The reason why we like real estate investors is because of repeat business. Because we don't have money to market, it's better for us to spend our time, the trade-off of targeting investors with our time so that we get repeat business, so we have a full schedule, right? The other piece is the investors are not going to be doing overly technical projects. And what I mean by that is They're looking for express quality, not HGTV win awards quality. And because he's 2 years into the business, he needs that volume, those reps, that time under the bar to get strong on his construction chops, right? So that he can then start working with homeowners when the stakes are a lot higher, the patience is a lot thinner, and the emotions are a lot stronger. Does that make sense? And so that brings up a point about margin. So remember how I said, figure out how many days it's going to take you, multiply that by your day rate plus materials, and then multiply all that together by 1.67. That gets you a 40% gross margin. And the way that breaks down is 10% is profit for you, 4% goes into your growth account, 6% for taxes to Uncle Sam, 10% to pay yourself for the sales commission to cover your time in generating those relationships, and 10% for the project management. In other words, the logistics, the permitting, the planning of the job. And then on top of that, your wage to do the work. So if you're charging this professional markup, as he gets bigger, he has and establishes himself with these investors, he can now start hiring people to be on the tools for him. Or he can hire a sales guy if he's not good at sales, or he can hire a project manager if that doesn't interest him. But the point is, there's budget to pay for these people. Does that make sense? So getting back to priority number 5, it's his formalized contract, guys. Every single contract needs an addendum, an attachment, right? So we have just the standard contract, whether you get that from a lawyer, you get it off rocketlawyer.com, doesn't matter. If you have an attachment that spells out the scope of the job, narrowly defines the job in a box. And inside that box, we describe by trade the takeoff for every single assembly or every single task, the means in which we're going to accomplish that task, which includes how we're going to do it and the standards for what it looks like when it's done. We list out the materials by line item. We list out the price for the project. We list out our draw schedule so we don't get jammed up on cash flow. And we set standards for our punch list process. In other words, when we complete the job, we all do a walkthrough together. We build a list of what needs to be fixed. You sign it. I execute that list. You pay me. And anything you find after that punch list inspection, that gets treated as warranty work and it doesn't hold up your profit. Does that make sense? So then the priority number 6, guys, is every day, right? We want to be texting a before picture of the work, our task for the day, our purpose for the day, our method for the day. In other words, how we're doing it, our objective for the day, what we want to accomplish, an after picture. And then we want to talk about, are we on track or off track for our total project deadline? And what's our plan to stay on time, on budget? You do that, it's going to eliminate 80, 90% of your client conflicts. And it's going to lead to better reviews and way more referrals. So the last piece is his cash flow policy. So in that contract, if we're buying the materials, we want all those materials paid for upfront when we start demo, or sooner, ideally, so that we have it when we need it, right? So the point is, you sign the contract, you pay us for the materials, we go buy the materials. Client's not comfortable with that, fine, client. The materials aren't marked up, you pay for it, I'll pick it up. It's totally cool. But the point is, we want to charge them 5% to secure a spot on our calendar. That is non-refundable, because these clients, they don't care about our business. So they can jerk us around with their own schedule all they want. But the point is, it's 5% to secure a spot on our calendar, period, non-refundable. So if you cancel the project, we scoop that, right? And instead of saying at the end of each phase, we want the money at the start of each phase. So 10% at the start of demo, 10% at the start of framing, 15% at the start of mechanical. That's plumbing, heating, and cooling, and electrical. 10% at the start of drywall, 10% at the start of trim carpentry, 10% at the start of paint, 10% at the start of finishes, fixtures and tile, 10% at the start of flooring, 5% at substantial completion, which is when we think we're done, and 5% at completion of punch list. If you're in a state like Texas that requires 10% retainage, just combine completion of punch list and substantial completion together and just call it retainage. Real simple. Now, this is for a complex or a larger remodel. If you're doing a simpler project, then what I would charge is 5% secure spot on the calendar, 45% at start of job, 50% or 25% at completion of job, or call it 40% at completion of job, and 10% retainage, completion of punch list. Does that make sense, guys? So you do that, you do these 7 pieces. Believe me, he's going to get more than 260 grand worth of work targeting all these real estate investor groups. And then once he's done with the real estate investor groups, then I want him to start targeting the realtor Facebook groups for the area, right? So just all the general real estate groups and reaching out to these realtors. And another thing he can do is he can scrape together a list of every realtor in his target markets, get their emails, and send them all an email to meet for coffee. And your pitch is really the same thing. It's, hey, I want to be your exclusive guy. I want to be your exclusive construction advisor on your team. So anytime you or a client has a question about scope or cost or code, I'll be there I'll be a responsive professional to answer those questions in a timely manner. And I'll keep a respectful distance from selling the work until I'm asked for a bid. Okay, and the realtors are going to eat that up. They're going to love it, and the referrals are going to start usually within about, if you meet 4 realtors, you're going to have your very first referred project probably within 3 days. That's just been my experience. So guys, if you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel for more. Join our Facebook group to join the discussion with other remodel business owners, and we're talking sales, we're talking marketing, we're talking operations, we're talking finance, and we're talking recruiting, so that we build up our businesses, we make ourselves more profitable, which allows us to take care of our families and take care of our communities. So you guys be cool. I'll see you.